This is lesson 2.4, talking about variables and equations. So we're about to get into a big unit on solving equations. First we'll do one step, and then we'll do two step, and then we'll do a couple other additional steps, finally getting into inequalities. But before we even do that, we want to talk about how do we take words and translate them, as I like to think of it as, into mathematical expressions and equations. So this is one from the examples on page 85. So this says the sum of x and 6 is 9. And I like to call it translation because what you're doing is you're essentially looking for some key words and figuring out what they mean. So like this word, set of words right here, the sum of, tells us what? Well, that's going to tell us that it's an addition problem. So I'm doing the sum of x and 6. So those are going to be my two what are called add-ins. So I know I've got x and 6, and since I'm doing sum, I'll put a plus between them. Then every time you look at words that are translating into an equation, is a very important word. Is always, well, you know what I say about always, most of the time, is means equals, and then 9 tells us. And generally you can go from left to right with these. Sometimes it gets a little bit different and you've got to pay attention, but this would be kind of how you write this out. So x plus 6 equals 9. All right. So that's, essentially what we're doing in this lesson. How do you take words and turn them into an equation? So I'm going to give you one to try, and then I'm going to stop for a minute, let you pause the video, and see what you come up with. So I'll take it off of italics, so you need to write in italics. What if I say that the difference of 12 and y is 15? Okay, and I'll do that in black. If I tell you the difference of 12 and y is 15, what would you write? Alright, so hopefully you've written something down, and now we're looking at what we've got, and again, the difference of 12 and y is 15. Well, the word difference means subtraction, so I'm going to make sure that I keep that in mind. I'm writing with my finger today, so please excuse how messy it might get. So the difference of 12 and y is 15. Now, when it comes to subtraction and division, we've talked several times about how order matters. You are going to want to write these in the order they tell you, unless the context suggests otherwise. And again, that word is showing up, and that word is, oh my goodness, I shouldn't write with my mouse. That word is means equals. So the difference of 12 and y is 15, and that's what we would get. So when it comes to what words mean, we've talked a little bit about some of the words, but I'll give you a list here. Sum means addition. Difference, we just said, is subtraction. Product is multiplication. And quotient is division. And sometimes it might say divided by or multiplied by, and that makes it a little bit easier, but those are some of the words that you can see and make sure that you know what they are. All right. So when we're looking at the equations, make sure as you notice these words that you're able to turn them into equations. That's all for this video. If you want some more examples, you can go to page 85 and page 86 in your book, and that will help you figure it out. Another example, just really quick, that I want to make sure you notice is instead of just straight up saying a variable like x, you might see the phrase a number or what number. Those phrases indicate that we're going to be using a variable. So one of the examples that you'll see says, what number plus 3 equals 11? What do you think that would be? Take a moment, pause the video, and think about what you think your answer would be. So again, what number means a variable. So I'm going to take the phrase what number, and I'm going to turn that into a variable. So I'm going to write x. Then it just says plus 3 equals 11. All right, so that would be the equation I'm looking for. And then if you wanted to solve it, you know, you guys have solved equations like this before, and we'll talk a little bit about how to solve them during class. The other thing you need to be able to do is take this information and go backwards. So if I was to give you an equation, you should be able to write a sentence. If I tell you, for instance, 3x equals 15, you should be able to come up with a sentence. And in this case, I'm going to write 3x means that things are being multiplied, so I'll say 3 times what number is 15. And that would be the equation I'm looking at here. Okay? So those are some other kinds of problems that you might see. So that's one section of this. I'm going to do another quick video for another section, so be on the lookout for that one as well.